Hi, my name is David Chow. I'm doing another YouTube. The title of this is called Singapore, the hub for China's mega rich or China's crazy rich. Okay, it's going to be very interesting. You need to watch it right to the end, and I will give my take on this, my opinion, and whether this particular phenomenon it's good or its effect on the local people and the country as a whole. Okay, and I will give my analysis and I'll give my opinion as well. So okay. I'm David Chow. I'm originally come from Singapore, so I'm a civil engineer. Work as a civil engineer here for many years. So work in Melbourne. Yeah, Melbourne, Australia. So Melbourne is my hometown now. So well, a couple of years ago, I think it's about just over 2 years ago, we went back to Singapore for holiday. Just kind of just after COVID-19, and I was surprised to see many mainland Chinese, in Singapore. I mean, yeah, and especially in the tourist area, like the casino, Marina Bay, Orchard Road, especially Chinatown. I mean, I can imagine, I can remember. First time I went to Chinatown, most of the food store actually instead of selling the local Chinese cuisine, it's actually a lot of them it's selling mainland Chinese stuff like in Chinatown, New Jersey. Okay, New Jersey is Chinese for Chinatown in Singapore. It's like Shanghai dumpling, 小笼包, Sichuan hotspot, and the Xi'an noodle, Xi'an beef noodle. That's right, and Xinjiang lamb satay, and northeastern Chinese food, all around Chinatown. And I was so surprised. I mean, the people working there, or the owner, they speak sort of mainland Chinese Mandarin, and the customers as well. And it's a lot of it. I should have included it in my YouTube. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of hard for, I mean, years ago when I was sort of living in Singapore, like to, whenever I go to Chinatown, I like to order chao kway teow, Hainanese chicken rice, roast duck, yi po ho fan, and that kind of stuff, wonton noodle, wonton mee, but, well, it's hard to find them now. Nowadays it's all surrounded by, food, takeaway food, or different kind of cuisine from China now. So there you are. That's my experience when the last trip I went to Singapore. Now, started from the 9th of Feb this year, both Singapore and China has implemented a visa-free entry for each other's citizens. So basically, if you're Singaporean, you can go to Singapore without visa, without needing a visa, and vice versa. People from China can visit Singapore up to 30 days with a visa, and that well not this year, but last year, 2023, Singapore saw a 115% increase in tourists from China. 115, practically double. It's from from 6.3 million to 13.6 million last year. So and I believe that from early this year, both Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand has got a reciprocal arrangement with China. They can visit each other's countries up to 30 days without visa. So, or I remember when I visited Marina Bay, Orchard Road, especially Chinatown, there's pack of people speaking Mandarin. Okay. And Singapore has got this global investor program, for immigrants, for people who want to migrate to Singapore. So the business, there's a business investment and set up a family office in Singapore. You need to have a 10 million Singapore dollar minimum to up to 20 million. That will entitle you to having a PR, getting you'll be granted a PR staying in Singapore. So it's about from the right, there's about 1,500 family offices been set up in Singapore, and half of them are from China. Okay, and you talk family office, I mean 10 to 20 million. You talk about the mega rich, the crazy rich. And there's also a professional, technical, and skill migration scheme as well, and this applies to a lot of professional, technical staff. Like, and many of them actually do come from China, Hong Kong, or Taiwan. Also, I suppose it's kind of professional if you are in AI skill, IT, AI, dealing with robotic, doctor, I believe nurses as well, and dealing with the aircraft and technology. Well, it's not just people from China, but also from India. Many of the Indian immigrants with the IT professional background, a lot of them actually, I've seen a lot of them, especially many of them in Changi Industrial Park, I think. Yeah. So it's not just restricted to people from China. Well, this why Singapore ticks all the boxes. I mean, why the sort of I don't why the mega rich from China like to migrate to China, like to get the PR in China. Well, because Singapore, to give you a bit of background, Singapore population, 75%, three-quarters of the population that are ethnic Chinese. Most of them are from Canton, Fujian, and Hainan Island before, So, and 14% of Malays and 9% of Indian, of Tamil background. So, I mean, basically, Singapore is the only country with the only other country with a majority Chinese population. Obviously, China is it's only two countries with, so, I mean, Hong Kong and Taiwan is part of China. So, so obviously from there, you can, you understand Singapore would appeal to many of the rich mainland Chinese want to, well, I don't know, so we get out of China, they want to migrate to other country, and so it's a lot of them like to migrate to Australia, New Zealand, Canada, America as well. But Singapore because Singapore is a small island with only 5.8 million people, population. So obviously the influx of anyone sort of in the big number will be very very obvious, and its effect on the country will be noticeable, because of Australia, a big country. People can go to Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Brisbane, anyway. But Singapore just concentrate, Singapore City, basically it's a country. So yeah, so obviously the mega rich mainland Chinese, they prefer Singapore because of the most Chinese in Singapore can speak quite good Mandarin. Yeah, so there's no language problem, and there's a strong bilateral tie between Singapore and China. Okay, and also Singapore serves as like a beachhead, I suppose. For the connectivity to ASEAN. Singapore. Imagine Singapore. Practically it's about almost the middle of ASEAN. I mean, surrounded by Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam. It's not far, and Singapore's pretty advanced very advanced in communication, IT sort of field. So Singapore is very much of a spokesman for ASEAN, and Singapore is also a financial center. Just behind New York, London, and just Singapore, and Singapore just replaced Hong Kong recently. So and the place, obviously they like the fact that Singapore has got a bilingual education policy. So a lot of the, especially those mega rich Chinese family, that they like the kids to be educated, to be fluent in English. Yeah, obviously they got no problem with Mandarin. They like to be fluent in English so that they can advance, into other overseas university, like in England or America, in Cambridge, Oxford, Harvard, Yale, UCLA, and all those, Columbia. So yeah, Singapore, student always has been score the highest in maths, English, and in science as well. So I think the fact that they like that kind of education system, and it's the place is is safe and secure. I mean, you can walk, for even a young girl can walk on the go home at 12 o'clock, won't have any problem, because it's never been a problem. It's very rare if anything happened. So and also it's a low tax. Singapore's, I believe the tax is up to 16%. And the last thing, this is very important. It's political stability. I mean, Singapore been ruled by one party, a PAP, since it's independent, like 80-something years ago. It provided a very stable political environment. It's hardly any strikes. Protest is not allowed. So yeah. So I mean, and also one last thing, Singapore has a very low in corruption sort of scale. I believe it's in the 5th in the world. So very low. So yeah. So it ticks all the boxes. Tick all the boxes for mega rich, not just from China, many from India as well. So and of course, obviously, language is a big plus, and obviously, they find themselves able to fit in culturally, linguistically, and without any problem. They're easy to fit in. Imagine that they will have a problem if you come to Australia. I mean, unless they speak reasonable sort of speak some sort of English, otherwise they'd be lost in Australia. So 30. The latest Forbes magazine, FORBES, Forbes magazine, was 2023. They list 4 of the 10 richest individual or family in Singapore are from China. So these are the list of the people in the top list. Number 1 is, number 1, Shenzhen Mandarin Bio or Medical Electronics. And his name is Mr. Li Xinting. Oh, he's a big manufacturer of ventilator and ultrasound equipment. I mean, can you imagine? they make a fortune during the COVID-19, wasn't it? I've seen the TV, in some country they screaming for ventilator, So, yeah. And the second person is Mr. Zhang Yong and his wife Xu Ping, and it's the owner of Hadilao Hot Pot. They used to have more than 2,000 stores, but now they sort of closed some of them. There's at least more than 1,500 Hadilao stores over the world. There's a couple here in Melbourne. So, hey, the first one, Mr. Li Xinting, his wealth is $18 billion, and the Hadilao owner Zhang Yong his wealth is $15 million. Okay, and the third is a company called SEA. I think you probably know the name of Shopee, an online shopping, SHOPWE, and they also into gambling, so playing game. And his name is Forrest Lee and Gang Yi. Their worth is both worth the US $9 billion. So, and the other, there's a few others that they believe that they're obviously they're PR, but may not be a citizen yet. Like the TikTok's owner. We all heard about TikTok recently. Become a hot news in America, around the world. TikTok and the parent company ByteDance. The owner is called Zhang Yiming. Okay, and TikTok's hot news in America last couple of weeks. TikTok has set up the internet. It's a headquarters in Singapore. Actually, I believe it's operate as a Singapore entity. So it's a Singapore company, and not considered as a China company. So it's a Singapore. It's the CEO is Shou Chu. Same surname for me. My surname is Chow. Chi, yeah. He's the CEO. He's been appearing in a congressional meeting, about the TikTok, whether America should ban TikTok or not. Anyway, it's another story. And next person is next company is called Alibaba. It's online shopping. Obviously everyone heard about Alibaba. Jack Ma and his wife. Apparently they bought some really expensive and resident, home in Singapore. Multi millions, home in Singapore, and I've seen a plan, or they purchased a commercial building in Singapore in the CBD, and saying that they are going to build I think it's kind of semicircular building. It's going to be the tallest, more than 300 meter tallest building in Singapore. Well, there you are. Alibaba, I think they consider Singapore operations just it's an international operation. The head of quarters in Hangzhou in China. So, okay. Yeah, I think a lot of the a lot of the mega rich mainland Chinese purchase sort of luxury home, you know, with waterfront view in Sentosa Island. I think that island allow foreigners to purchase landed properties. You know, because obviously all properties in Sentosa is one of the most expensive. So, was in as we all know, Sentosa has got a casino there. Yeah, it's got a casino. I think Genting good company Genting actually own and operate a casino there, and there's a prestigious golf club, and that's interesting. The membership of that golf club has shot up in joining fee is now almost 900,000 Sing dollar. 900, almost $1 million to join as a member of a golf club. God, there are some rich people there. Rich people live around there. Yeah, apparently it's gone up sort of double or triple in the last few years. And a lot of these, all these mega rich, you know, immigrants, they purchase Rolls Royce, Bentley, sports car, Ferrari, Lamborghini. It's sort of like really top of the range, you know, not something 200,000. It's something like $1.5 million, you know. So, and I believe that the property price in the house price in Singapore has gone up 14% last year, and the rental surged 33% last year. So, obviously a lot of locals are not happy about that. You know, I mean, obviously the house price. And 1/4 of the luxury home last year was sold. 1/4 is sold to the mega rich from China, in 2022. So, okay. So I mean, it's but don't forget, Singapore and China has good relationship. You know, they have deep sort of economic cooperation. You know, China is Singapore's biggest trading partner, and Singapore is China's biggest investor. Can anyone imagine that? Singapore, a smaller island of 730 square kilometer, 5.8 million people. It's got that amount of wealth that there's invested in China. China's got 1.4 billion people. You know, what I understand, if other country, you know, USA or Europe or Germany or, you know, even Australia, but then obviously, you know, but Singapore is the biggest investor in China. I remember seeing a photo or read an article. There's a group of building called in Chongqing, called Raffles City. You know, complex. There's 8 tower. I think the two 80 story, and the 3 of the 30 buildings of of 60 story and two other sort of three other hotel. And and on top of the building, they got a similar to Marina Bay. It's got like a sky deck, you know, the pool, you know, sky deck, is it? They actually designed by the same architect. I think it is Israeli architect, and almost identical to Marina Bay Sands, you know, but that's in Chongqing, in the most valuable part of Chongqing, and guess who put the money? Who financed the whole building? CapitaLand from Singapore. I mean, and CapitaLand has got, I don't know how many shopping mall in China. Almost every big city, like, you know, big city, you know, like Guangzhou, Shanghai, Beijing, Tianjin, Chengdu, everywhere. They got Singapore land on all those shopping center, shopping mall. I kind of almost couldn't believe it. I mean, a company from Singapore own all this, plus they also invested in Vietnam, you know, Thailand, Malaysia, obviously Singapore. Singapore is, you know, is headquarters. You know, so obviously they own a lot of shopping center in Singapore. It's Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, everywhere. You name it, you know. So you know, I just try to explain the kind of financial clout that the Singapore government has. I mean, and the amount of money it comes from Singapore. You know, amount of fund from that little space. You know, people in the old days say, you know, Singapore is Switzerland of Asia. Well, I think Singapore is can be by itself. Doesn't need to be part of Switzerland. Doesn't need to be just a tied down with Switzerland, you know. And Singapore has got large interest in, you know, as I say, and the government has got, you know, has got good relationship with China, and they in fact, this is government to government project. The first they set up industrial park. The first one, the Singapore government set up industrial park in China. The first one is many years ago. The first one is called Suzhou Industrial Park, and next there was Singapore Tianjin Eco City. Obviously, yeah, dealing with environmental eco city in Tianjin, just outside Beijing. And the third one lately is this China Singapore Chongqing strategic connectivity. I think it's more to do with the 5G, 6G, you know, kind of telecommunication field, you know. Yeah. Okay. Obviously, you know, well, can you imagine that maybe it's to do with, you know, driverless car, maybe, you know, it's sort of, you know, using computer. Anyway, that's in Chongqing, you know. So it's in conclusion, look, I think there is a, yeah, I mean, there is a, obviously all these crazy rich mainland Chinese splashing the money away, you know, around, you know, driving flashy car, you know, dining in this 6-star restaurant, you know, buying all the luxury goods, not a problem. I mean, obviously a lot of the local Singapore residents would be a bit discomfort, or maybe even some jealousy. You know, I mean, if you're just just ordinary local working people there, you probably find, oh wow. I mean, it's happened here in Melbourne as well. I mean, it's, all of a sudden next door neighbor, someone from China just purchase a property, to pull it down, build a 2 or 3 story building, and all of a sudden got 3 Mercedes parked in front. I mean, oh my gosh, and you see that they dine in, 5-star restaurant. Yeah, it's just incredible. The kids go to private school, the chauffeur driven by the mum in the brand new Mercedes. It's just so, it's new to us in Melbourne as well. When you go to auction, you always get people from China speaking in Mandarin, always the bidder, because they, instead of go up by 10 to 20,000, they say another 100,000. I mean, kind of scale of all the other people. So, but I think, in my opinion, in my opinion, all this money coming into Singapore, it's of course, I think it's beneficial. I mean, obviously the local, you got to look at the in the more broader perspective. I mean, same as just an example, same as Switzerland before. All the money from surrounding country, from Germany, France, Spain, or USA, or from Russia, all should have, deposit the money, because they Switzerland considered to be a safe place, to park the money. Well, that's why Switzerland becomes so wealthy. It was one of the richest country before, many years ago. But now, obviously, it's a lot out of the country. So Singapore now, last year, is the second richest country in the world, just behind Luxembourg. I think Singapore's got 133,000, and Luxembourg just over 140. But it won't be long. I believe in a few years Singapore will definitely will be one of the highest living standard, because with all these rich people from, not just from China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, from India, Indonesia, Malaysia, all pouring in, want to, migrate to Singapore, getting Singapore PR, and they will bringing the billions in, millions and billions, buying houses. They are. I mean, they not just, obviously they purchase in the high end sort of, spending money on high end home, luxury car, dine in a fine restaurant, go overseas holiday, but you trigger into the ordinary, to Singapore citizens, isn't it? I mean, the money they park with the government, or park with the bank, or the government or the bank and the financial institution can utilize the money, go and invest other country, invest in China, Indonesia, Malaysia, or people can borrow money from there. They make money from there. I don't think, I mean, would you ask Swiss people before? Well, no, we shouldn't be the country to have higher living standard. I mean, it reflected the good sort of housing, good welfare that they have in Switzerland. What I remember when many years ago, when first time I went to Switzerland, wow, I saw the people so. I caught a train from just going into Zurich. Wow, I saw all the people so well dressed. Maybe because it's a cold country, and everyone's in suit and everything, extremely well dressed. And that lady as well. Anyway, I think Singapore. I don't think it's a bad thing for the for the surrounding country, especially now the mega rich want to, or Singapore is a hotspot for them to migrate. I don't think it's a bad thing. You will it will trickle down. The benefit will spread over. They need to buy the grocery. They need to buy They need to go out for food. They need to call a taxi, whatever, or Uber, or Grab. I think no Uber. They go away other places for holiday. So they consume. So I think the local will definitely boost up the local economy. Believe me, I think Singapore won't be long be the highest. Will have the highest living standard. Yes, I mean Singapore is already together with Zurich is the most expensive country in the world. But forgotten because the survey they did, I did look into that. So the survey they did was like based on their own, it's a Western living standard. Like owning a couple car, owning a car, and live in their own sort of house with about 4 or 5 bedrooms, sort of 2-story, with a land properties, and like 5 or 3 or 5 course Western dinner with steak, entree, dessert, coffee, everything. I mean, but you've forgotten that the local Singaporean, the local people don't eat like that. I mean, obviously, okay, so some of the food in the food court's gone up. You still can get a Hainan chicken for $5, or Hokkien noodle, or chao kway teow for $5. I mean, 2 years ago when in the food court, even Chinatown, in New Jersey, you still paying, chao kway teow for $5. I mean, or Hainan chicken rice, or roast duck for $7 or $8. Sing dollar, yeah, okay, but it's still pretty cheap. Here in Melbourne, you order Hainan chicken rice is 18 Australian dollar, but obviously the portion in Singapore probably smaller. Here the portion, big. I mean, maybe 1.5 times or twice. But but local people don't. And the other thing is, in Singapore, you don't need the car. The MRT is so efficient, so convenient. It's everywhere. Not many places. You just have to walk 5-10 minutes, or sort of all cover. All the way to MRT. Singapore is known for one of the best MRT in the world, and the bus transportation usually they sort of integrate with the MRT, or LRT, MRT, the bus transportation, places they can't be reached by MRT, So you don't need I got friends who are millionaires, school friends in Singapore. They don't own a car. Yes, a few of my friends own a car, own car. So some of my friends who study here in engineering and open their own consulting firm in Singapore, yeah, they drive Mercedes or BMW. But if you don't need a car, the MRT is so convenient. So, and housing, I mean, Singapore, yes, obviously Singapore Island is limited in space. You don't have a, just here in Melbourne, there's ordinary one sort of acre lot house. Singapore we call landed property, but here, with a swimming pool outdoor and all that. But in Singapore, a small little landed property will cost you 2-3 million. Here probably only 3 or 4 million. Here probably 1.5 to 2 million. So you can't compare. In Singapore, it's land is available. So and don't forget Singapore. I believe that Singapore, as I can see, the government and the people is one of the most frugal country and frugal country, frugal people in the world too, because they save, I believe it's about almost 20% of their superannuation contribution by the employer, and also about the same amount contributed by employee. That's why they call CPF, Central Provident Fund. That after contributions, you can sort of borrow after 3 or 4 years for young people working. They can borrow the money from there and buy themselves one of those HGB flats. Singapore has got one of the highest home ownership, 90%. Look, we can talk about success stories of Singapore, another 3 hours, but Singapore's success is well, my final words for this is there is never be another Singapore, because when Singapore separated from Malaysia, and I think one of the leaders in Singapore said, look, we know we don't have resources, we don't have the big piece of land, but the most valuable commodity or things that we have is the people. We got the talent of the people in this island, in this country of Singapore. So the people is the most important, not the natural resources. I mean, just because you have big land, and there's plenty of mineral, natural resources, Australia will be the top of the list, and Brazil will be the top of the list, or even Russia, and yet they're not. But I mean, the couple of richest countries is actually, Singapore is without resources. Luxembourg is purely a finance center, a financial center. Yes, the others may be Dubai, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. They got resources, petroleum. Anyway, look, yes, my final words is there's never going to be another Singapore, because you're not going to be. Singapore is such a geographically in such a strategic location, the Strait of Malacca and South China Sea, and the people, 75% of population are Chinese, ethnic Chinese background. Now China has become rich. A lot of mega rich people, for whatever reason, they want to migrate. Obviously, a lot of them come to Western country too, Australia, New Zealand, America, Canada, but proportion-wise, Singapore is on top of the list. So there's not going to be another Singapore. So okay, I'll finish that. I know it takes a long time. Yeah, don't forget, if you like this. I'm thirsty. Talk for too long. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe. Smash the subscribe button. Give me a thumb up, and please make some comment too. I mean, I just say well done, or you can say, look, can give me some feedback, say, oh, David, you missed up something, or this is what you say, this is not correct, or whatever, we can all learn together, and yes, that will be we're most appreciated if you can give me a thumb up, subscribe. I really need to subscribe, and the thumb up and the comment, most appreciated. So, and I will promise that I'll produce keep my consistency in uploading a YouTube once a week. I'll try to, and I'm passionate about. Yeah, I'm semi-retired. I'm a civil engineer before. I'm into property investment here in Melbourne. So, but I'm semi-retired. I got property rent it out as Airbnb. It's a lot of work, but you know, the return is good. But anyway, but I'm passionate about doing this YouTube. It's something new to me. I have knowledge about property investment. I'm a contact with pass on my knowledge of civil engineering, but property investment, how you can build your wealth through property investment. You know, a lot of people, Australian property, same as Singapore, same as New Zealand or Malaysia. It's different, you know, different to China or Hong Kong. You know, China, yes, they overbuild. They build, you know, hundreds of millions of houses, they overbuild, you know, so the company got bankrupt. But Australia, you know, supply and demand, we don't build enough. That's why the property prices gone up and up and up. So it's in Singapore. Singapore got different reason because the lack of land. So obviously your property goes up and up. And on top of that, you got obviously migration. Obviously they want to get the PR. They want to bring the family to live in Singapore. You know, so you know, so Australia is similar situation. So other countries. So you can build wealth through property. You know, investment in property. You can, you know, I can come up with I've got a formula. Every 5 or 6 years you can purchase a property in Australia. It doesn't need to be million, you know, probably $1 or $2 million. You know, you should start. You know, I think the smaller property, you know, it will give you a better income. You know, better return. So you can buy one every 5 or 6 years. You know, as long as you working, you know, got a good job, a reasonable income. Yeah, you know, it's no problem. Yeah, that's how the system works. You know, in fact, the government encourage people to invest in property here in Australia. You know, so that because with people buying property here in Australia, they at the same time rent it out. So the government doesn't need to provide so much amount of housing to accommodate everyone. You know, so they let the private investor to do the job. So they, you know. Anyway, well, I'll finish there. It's a long talk. Yes, as I say, I'm passionate here, so give me the support. Okay, good night. We'll talk to you next time. Okay.